Hello, it is Slimy Splashers, aka Slime and Slashers. But for August, because I am a co-host for Garb August, and we all have ridiculous, horrible names, really trashy names, I am Slimy Splashers. So happy Garb August. Technically today is the 4th day of Garb August. It is August 4th. I just wanted to start off this vlog finally because I've been putting off filming a vlog clip and tell you guys what I've been reading. I've already finished one book, but it was very short. I finished Not Pounded by Anything by Chuck Tingle. It was a collection of 6 stories and there was no pounding at all. And that was okay, says Chuck Tingle. It's like in the subtitle of the story. Anyway, actually, the messaging for those stories was actually really heartfelt and really, really good in terms of the messaging that he was trying to say. He was trying to say that it's okay to give consent and then take it back because, you change your mind. It's okay to, dress kind of in a costume that might be showing a lot of skin, and it doesn't mean that gives somebody else the right to touch you, specifically that sometimes happens at conventions and stuff. And then there was one where I think something about this dino was trying to get with this guy because he's I'll give you a free ticket to this video game convention, I'm a nice guy, you should sleep with me, and the other person's no. So a lot of great messaging in terms of how things should be, how people should be, how it should be okay for all of these things to occur in terms of, changing your mind about certain things, etc., etc. And not being touched by a stranger. That should be, a given. Anyway, so that was a lot of fun. I gave that, I think, a 3.5. I also started the audiobook. It's a Mothman romance book. It's called I'm in Love with Mothman, and I only have about an hour left. It's not very long. I'm freaking loving it. It's awesome. It's incredible. And at one point, Mothman is talking to this girl. She's an influencer. She's from Orlando, so she decides to sell all of her stuff and leave Orlando and move to this small cabin in the country and just kind of get away from everything. She's calling it a digital detox. Then somehow she lives near the woods in her new cabin, and she comes in contact with, she doesn't call him Mothman at first, she just calls him this creature. He kind of looks man-like, but he's got moth-like wings and stuff, and he's got little antennae, but she says he's really handsome and stuff. Anyway, fast forward when they are actually in love and stuff, or falling in love, he's talking about what they mean to each other, and she's at one point she's
can I call you Moth? Can that be your name?
And he's
you can call me whatever you wish, Moth is fine, whatever.
And he speaks all proper and shit, he's a regal old school Mothman man. Anyway, and then so they're talking or whatever, and since she calls him Moth, he's you are my flame, a moth to a flame. It's so dumb, but actually amazing. I actually think it's very cute, and it's shaping up to be at least a 4-star. I'm really having a good time. It is just a fun listen. And I am a little bit into, I'm actually further than my bookmark says, because I started reading on Kindle last night after I stopped physically reading because the light was off. I still wanted to read, so I used my Kindle. I'm at least 40 pages into the Traveling Vampire Show. The backstory behind this, my friend Katrina from the channel Katrina Brown, she's also a co-host of Garb August, she read this, she just officially gave it a 1. At first it was a 1.5, now it's a 1. So she really hated it. She's it started off good, but then boobs, and the ending was convoluted. All he talks about is boobs. He does talk about boobs a lot, but I really like the main characters in this. I've really liked the beginning. Like I said, I'm about 140 pages in. It is, I think, almost 400 pages, yeah. So I haven't gotten to the batshit crazy part yet where, not only did Katrina not like the ending, Andrew also said the ending sucked. He liked the beginning, though. He gave it a 3. So Andrew a 3. Katrina a 1. Where am I going to fall? I have a feeling I'm going to give it much higher than both of them, even if the ending is batshit crazy, even if the ending doesn't make sense or is convoluted. I have a feeling I might like that it's crazy and convoluted. We'll see. I don't know. I have a long way to go to see what I feel about it, but by the end of this vlog, you will know where I fall. You will know if I like it more than both Katrina and Andrew, or if somehow, I'd be very surprised if I was in between Katrina and Andrew's rating. I think I'm going to be above both of them, but we will see. It's not guaranteed. I have hated the Richard Lehman book, but I mostly have enjoyed his books, so there you have it. And if you have not seen any of my other videos where I talk about Richard Lehman, don't just go picking up his books. They are insane in terms of tons of boob talk, tons of like weird things, and it's not for everybody. I think it's trashy cozy, hence why I'm reading him for Garb August, and he is an official square on the bingo board. It says to read a Richard Lehman book, so that's what I'm doing, baby. I'm actually reading it. So I'm going to continue on with the Mothman book and the Richard Lehman book tonight, and then I'll update you guys and see what else I can throw in. I'm back to check in. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, I'm actually reading something on my Kindle right now, but I do have a physical copy of it, but I'll tell you about that and why I'm doing that in a second. So, yesterday I was able, or maybe it was the day before, I was able to finish I'm in Love with Mothman, the Mothman romance, and who am I even? I don't know. I don't know who I am. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it a lot. And apparently it's part of a series, and I would love to continue on with it. So that's going to be at least a 4-star, if not like a 4.5 star. I think I officially put 4 on my spreadsheet, so very much enjoyed that. It was a ball. Also, I finished The Traveling Vampire Show by Richard Lehman. So just a quick recap. You know, my friend Katrina from Katrina Brown channel, she gave this a 1 star. And my friend Andrew gave it a 3. They both said the ending sucked. So, as someone who's read a lot of Richard Lehman, not a lot, but 3 other books by Richard Lehman, or has it been 4 other books? Anyway, I've read other Richard Lehman books. This is actually the most tame Richard Lehman book I've ever read. The majority of the novel, which both Andrew and Katrina liked at the very beginning, the majority of it, including the beginning, is almost like a slow coming of age, or just following these kids a day in their life in the summertime. And they're essentially going to this field that's a haunted field, and they heard about the Traveling Vampire Show coming into town. So it's just a whole bunch of things happening that day, like they get attacked by a dog, they have to hide up on the roof, then they think someone is invading their houses because they keep seeing like weird things in their houses, and they basically are just walking around town, walking around between each other's houses, and stuff of that nature. So it's very slow. It's a lot about the relationships between the characters. I really like the main characters, all except for this kid named Rusty. I don't like him at all. I did love the other 2 main characters, a girl named Slim and a guy named Dwight. So they were great. I loved them. And so the ending, I know what Andrew meant by it went full-blown Richard Lehman. Like, there was like a lot of nudity and sexual stuff at the end, but it was more than just that. There was like a lot of horror at the end. And I actually liked it, so I really liked the ending a lot. I thought the ending was great, so. And to me, it was a tame Richard Lehman ending, because I have seen Richard Lehman endings go so far beyond what this book did. So, and not to mention, like, first 90% of the book is very tame in terms of it's just coming of age. It's like a 16-year-old boy, like, and his thoughts. So yeah, you're gonna get like boob discussion and like body discussion about, oh, whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna give this at least a 4. So I was right. Andrew gave it a 3, Katrina gave it a 1. I thought I would be above their rating, and I am. So I'm giving it at least a 4. It's not my favorite Richard Lehman. My favorite Richard Lehman is still Endless Night, and I gotta say, I also like Night in the Lonesome October better than this as well. But this was still a great read, and a good read for someone who's not into all of Richard Lehman's, like, serious antics, because, like, if you don't like this one, then you really shouldn't try Richard Lehman anymore. Katrina, like, she keeps saying she's gonna read more by him. Don't do it, don't do it. This is, like, tame in terms of, like, all the talk, the sexual talk, and then the ending. Very tame compared to other books I've read by him. So yeah, I had a good time. You know, I like coming of age, so the slow 90% part did not bother me. The crazy end part did not bother me because I've read other Richard Lehman, so it was like, oh, this is kind of fun. Finally, like, some big action happening. So it was like a coming of age mixed with some crazy zaniness, and yeah, it was an interesting story, and I really did enjoy the ending. So yes, I like this more than Andrew and Katrina. I'm not surprised. That is exactly what I predicted, so I know myself. Apparently. So I did start Long Arm the other day, but I'm only 25 pages in. I can't remember if I even said that in my first clip, but this is like a standard men's adventure western, and it's a lot of fun so far. But again, I'm barely into it. I'm not even using a real bookmark, which is pathetic. I have a ton of bookmarks. Why am I not using it? Alright, and I just started last night, Night Blood by T. Chris Martindale. Katrina loved this book. She's like, Kelsey, you've got to read it, so I'm very excited. I'm 92 pages in. I just finished part 1 last night, so I'm just at the beginning of part 2, which is called The Reckoning, and I'm really enjoying our main character. I like him a lot. His name is Chris Stiles, and he is a Vietnam vet, and he seems to be going after this evil that his dead brother is telling him to go after. Really enjoying this so far. There is some action already. He's in a small town right now trying to investigate if there's evil there because his brother had a feeling that there will be something that happens there. So anyway, that's basically where I am in this, and I'm loving this, like, a lot. So I read the 92 pages in just, like, it felt like very quickly, one sitting, a breeze. So I'm so pumped to continue on with this, and I think also I might try to fit in, like, a Goosebumps today too. I've got sprints later with Andrew, and I'm excited about that. I filmed a book haul yesterday during the day, so I have to start editing that. In fact, I'll show you the insane pile on my floor that I can't even clean up because I only got through part of the haul. I could only film, I only had enough time to do the adult horror. There's still tons of vintage YA and vintage middle grade that I have to film a haul for, which, when am I going to do that? I'm hoping before I leave for vacation in about less than, like, 6 days now. It's basically, like, on Friday. So anyway, we will see what happens, but that is my check-in. I'm having a blast reading these trashy reads. To me, they're just great, fun, vintagey reads, and some romancy reads, which I didn't expect to like, but I am, because who am I? I'm having a crisis, an identity crisis. But anyway, that's all, and I will catch up with you guys when I have something more to say. I have been really terrible about checking in for this vlog, but I am back, bitch! And I have finished 2 books. So I finished Nightblood by T. Chris Martindale. This is a paperback from hell. This is an old school edition. There is a new Valancourt reprint edition that looks just like this, except it has the little paperback from hell red logo on the cover, so you can get this in a new edition. There is audio, that is how I listened to it, but I also read along. I actually read it on my Kindle because I got that from the library for free, so I was like, I'd rather not bend up this copy, which actually has a good spine for once. I have very few books with good spines that are like pristine. This is one of them, so I was like, I ain't messing up the spine. So I didn't. Anyway, love this, love this. I'm really torn between a 4.5 and a 5. There really is no reason it isn't a 5. I'm just trying to be harsh and like, oh, I'm not going to give everything a 5. Anyway, it could easily be a 5 or a 4.5. We will see, but it's up there. I loved it, had a great time. This awesome Vietnam vet freaking comes into the small town, ends up fighting a boatload of vampires, lots of action, a little bit of romance, not really very much, but the idea of the romance is there, and I really like the action, and I really like the characters, and it was just a fast-paced good time, and not a lot of horror books are fast-paced, so when you find one that is, you kind of gotta cherish it, and enjoy it while you can, because there's a lot of really super slow burn old-school books. This one was pretty fast-paced in my opinion, and it was a good time, and the audiobook was very well done. So yeah, highly recommend, and I didn't mean to do this, but I read 2 vampire-themed books in this vlog. Not on purpose, but hey, here we go. So, I'm glad about that. Next up, on a whim, I read Satan's Burnouts Must Die, and I didn't even realize. So one of the bingo squares I knew said a book with Satanists, which, because I finished the book, I marked off. But also, if you take a look at the title, there's an exclamation point, which I didn't even realize till after I was done. And there is a bingo square on the Garb August bingo card that says, read a book with an exclamation point in the title. And I got to check off 2 bingo squares from this one book. So yes, this was incredible. A biker gang of, like, not just any bikers, of biker Satanists roll into this small town and start causing chaos at this diner. This old dude, he tries to interfere and help the ladies at the diner. Shit goes to hell. Very brutal scenes take place after that, and then it develops further and further. Where it ends up going, I loved. Loved the ending. Loved who ended up being the hero in the end. Great book. Actually, I think this is my brand new favorite David Sodergren book. I just love his work. I really like all of his books. Like, I just recently read last month Dead Girl Blues by him and loved it. But this one, I think, is my very favorite of all the books I've read by him. I've read, I think, at least 4 books by him so far. I really love them all, but I gotta keep reading more because he's really quickly becoming one of my favorite authors, and I should really read a lot more by him, and quickly, instead of waiting so long in between reading his books, because he's got a lot of books out there, and so he's very prolific. So yeah, loved it, loved it. There is a lot of violence though, so be warned. Look up trigger warnings, and there is a warning in the front of the book that says this book contains disturbing scenes of strong sex and violence, and that is not an exaggeration. It is true. It's very disturbing, but what ends up happening in the end, I'm like, yes, yes. So I really liked the ending quite a bit. And it was very tense. I could hardly stand it. I was even skimming passages at one point because I just wanted to know what was going to happen, and I was like, I can't take this anymore. I can't take this. I'm like freaking out. So yeah, so fun and tense, really. That's why it was fun, because I was like on the edge of my seat, which doesn't always happen with me with books that often. So yeah, I'm doing slightly pretty good on the bingo square. I don't have anything I marked off for Nightblood. It wouldn't count as a sexy vamp book, and I'm going to use Twilight for that. I'm planning on reading Twilight by Stephanie Meyer this month, so this, I don't know. Either way, I don't care. I kind of read it just because it was a vintage old school paperback from hell, and there's a whole week of Garb August, which is supposed to be reading paperbacks from hell. We're actually in that week right now. It's technically the 2nd week. I'm not really abiding by the weekly themes. It was optional. You don't have to do the weekly themes. I'm going to kind of do my own thing. This is going to be the end of this vlog, and I will be starting a new vlog basically on the day I'm leaving for vacation, which is not tomorrow, but the day after, on Friday. And so I will start like an animal attack type of vlog for my vacation, because I'll be going to the beach. It'll be very appropriate. Some of the books will be shark attack books, so that kind of animal attack book. Other books will just be like random animals like bats and random stuff, and we'll see. That should be a lot of fun. A lot of them will be paperbacks from hell. We'll see what else I get up to, but I've got plenty of books left to read for this month. I really hope I get to a lot more of them. I'm still working on Long Arm. I have not finished. I did get 25 or 30 more pages in, and I'm loving it. It's a lot of fun. You know, typical old school Western. You got some tropes in there that are like typical things. That doesn't bother me. I'm really having a good time for what it is. You know, it is what it is, and I know that going into it, and so nothing about that bothers me. I'm also in the middle of an S Squad book, which is kind of like a men's adventure kind of book about this team that go and investigate like all these paranormal happenings around the world, but they're like an army team. But they specifically end up having to deal with these paranormal events or whatever. So that's fun, but I was not really fully paying attention because I was doing stuff with my reading journal while I was listening. So I feel like it's a good series, though. You don't have to pay close attention. You could just kind of get the gist of it. And the accents, the audiobook, there's like amazing accents in it. It's like Scottish accents. So good. It's like, yes, get them wee fuckers. That's like, they literally say shit like that. And it's incredible and amazing. And I love it. And I love, it's like such a soothing accent to me. Anyway, so I'm doing pretty good. Garb August, baby! Are you guys participating in Garb August? If so, let me know. Have you read any of the books that I read in this vlog? Also let me know. Do you have any book suggestions for monster romance books that are similar to I'm in Love with Mothman? Because I unexpectedly loved that book. And I would totally read another book that would be similar to it, and I am going to continue on with the series probably in November. But anyway, for this time, guys, that is it for me. Till next time, you guys know what you can do. Keep on killing it, and keep on getting trashy by reading trash for Garb August, baby. Bye, guys.